said, I want to see him one last time, because the way I saw him watching it's EMS or the whatever, basically take my dad downstairs in like a tarp was not okay for me to see.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, I can hear you. All right, guys, welcome back to our Widowhood podcast. My name is Amanda.
I'm Kendra.
Today we're going to be discussing a difficult topic, I think, but I think it's really important. So we're going to talk about family and our children and how they have dealt with losing their dad. I already feel like I'm going to cry, so I got to get it together. But also our families, like our moms and dads, and how our families have coped. I know we both lost our father around the same time, about 4 years ago, so we can discuss that as well. But we wanted to start with talking to our kids.
Right.
And I think it's important in this journey. It's about us. You have to kind of really look inside yourselves. But I think when you're a mom, no matter what, you're always in that protection mode. So you're always kind of gauging the temperature of your home and your kids. So kids is a big part of this. When you lose a spouse at a younger age, the kids aspect is really important.
It is, because I have 4, and they're all so different. And, you know, you're grieving, but you're trying to help them get through their grief and the way that they're growing as well. And so it's good to be able to talk about it. And they're always at different stages of it, too.
Yeah.
So.
Also for us, we're at different stages. So, you know, I'm still at less than 6 months, and my kids are as well, and you're a little further along. So I think both of our kids will have a different perspective and a different outlook, whereas we're still in that early grief stage. And I think it's something important, and I think there's something that we can take away from it. But I try to always ask both the girls how are they feeling or what's going on, but you can kind of read them.
Yeah.
So I think we know when our kids are, you know, in a bad place, or where they're hurting, or where they're upset, or triggers too for them. So I think that's another thing that we can talk about, you know, how our kids are coping and how they handled the death of their father, and things they've learned, and maybe be able to relay that to other people.
Yeah, we thought that was important because both of us lost our dads
Yeah.
in our 40s.
Yeah.
And it's a completely different thing than being a teenager to a young adult.
Yes, I think as you get, when you're our age, you expect at some point your parent is going to die. I know discussing family for me is going to be difficult. My family dynamic is different from yours, and I grew up differently. You know, on the outside, my family looked like this perfect family, but on the inside, it wasn't like that. We always had a lot of drama. I'm not close with really any of my siblings. My one brother lives here. He's probably the one I'm closest to. I'm closer to my aunt and uncle, which is my dad's brother. So for me, my family is very different. Like when I say I don't really have anyone, I really do feel I don't have anyone. You and I have brought up my friends, and I know your situation was different. I know that your mom and sister are close.
They actually moved here. So my whole family's here with me now, and we live across the street from each other. So we do have a different dynamic than what you have. So I think it's going to be good to hear both sides of that.
Yeah. So we are going to go into all that. And with that being said, I want to say this is my perspective and my feelings. And these are, you know, we're talking about, you're going to talk to my daughter, and I'm going to talk to your son. These are our kids' perspectives, how they feel and their thoughts. So there's no right or wrong. I've told my kids, if my youngest the other day said something, and I think it was, she saw on like the little billboard on the way to school. They have that little sign where it's like Grandparents' Day, and then it said Donuts with Dad, and she was like, I don't have either of those.
Yeah.
And I was like,
And we ran into that last year with a daddy-daughter dance.
yeah. And I said to her, that sucks. And I've kind of allowed them to, both of my kids, to say and do things not normally. And she looked at me at 8 and goes, this is just bullshit. And I was like, if you know where
It
you,
is bullshit.
If you know where you know. And I said, you know what, you're right, it is. It is. It sucks. And I have friends that would step up as a dad and go with her. I have, like I said, my aunt and uncle are like grandparents to her, so they are like, we'll be there. But navigating through that, it sucks. It's crappy.
I think it's been interesting for me to see how my relationship with my kids has changed, because when you find yourself alone with them, they've become my best friends.
Yes.
And they probably didn't get the benefit of having all of their teenage years to be parented. They've become partners of mine.
Yes.
And they have
100%
been
agree.
fantastic, and I count on them more than I ever thought that I would.
And don't you think you notice, like, I was surprised by how my oldest like stepped up to be like, I'll handle that, Mom. I'll take care of that. I'll fix that. I got that. I know somebody. A lot of things, whereas my kids are my best friends. Like, I'm like, what are we doing this weekend? I'm not, occasionally I'll be like, hey, like I even said to you, we need to go out and be adults.
Yeah.
But, my best friend is my oldest daughter is my best friend. And then the youngest, when she likes me or when she's having a good day, is my best friend. But some days, she's still in some, like, she's hitting all those, those 7 stages of grief. Pretty much on a day, we're hitting every one of them.
All of them.
And it's different at 8 than it is at 28. So, it's comical, but it's like, my kids are my best friends, and I'm trying to parent Hudson, but I'm also I also have noticed I'm more befriending her, and my oldest daughter is like definitely like we do everything together.
I know Oliver, my son, he is the one out of my kids who will say, Mom, are you okay today? And I didn't see that part of him until this happened, but like he looks out for me.
And that makes you so like proud.
And I'm like, he's going to be a great husband.
Yes.
He's going to be a fantastic friend. I knew he was a good friend, but he's perceptive.
Yeah.
And he's empathetic. And even if everybody else is having a good day, he can look at me and say, you good?
Love that. Yeah. And I think it's the same with them. Like, you can read them. Like, I know when my daughter's having a bad day, and she can, like, it's the same. If I'm stressed, she doesn't ask, or she'll just step in, like, I got the dishes, I got this. I can mail that for you. Do you want me to run to UPS? I'll take Hudson for a scooter. Like, she can just sense it.
Yeah.
And it's been helpful because I feel overwhelmed a lot.
Yeah, it is. My oldest daughter, she has stepped in a lot too with my girls, and she'll take them places and do things with them, and it's been so helpful, But they all have such different personalities.
Right. You can take them off if you want.
They all have such different personalities, but it's been invaluable for them to see all 4 of them. They're tight.
Yeah.
Like, the 4 of them have become very tight, and I'm proud of that.
And I know all 4 of them. And it's funny, like, when I invite you to do something, I'm like, you can bring everybody, but it's like 2 out of the 4 I know are always coming.
Yeah.
And so I love that, because I didn't realize how much I hate doing things alone. Like, I don't like even going to the grocery store. Like, I like having, like, someone with me.
Yeah.
Because I've gotten used to that for 23 years.
Right.
So that's been great for me. But I'm excited to get our kids' perspective.
I am too.
So let's get into that. So,
All right, let's talk about it.
all right, guys. Me again, Amanda. So today I am sitting down with Oliver. This is Kendra's oldest son and only son, actually. She's got a house full of girls. So, Oliver, I know you, but our viewers don't. So, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Oliver. I'm Kendra's son. I am the only boy of 3 girls, so that's pretty intense, as you can imagine. I'm ecstatic to be here.
Cool.
Really.
Can you tell me a little bit about your dad and about the relationship that you and your dad have?
Of course, yeah. So, I mean, I feel like I had the idealized dad. Like, he took care of business when it needed to be taken care of. He was funny, he was sweet, he was cool. He had awesome tattoos. We used to make jokes that he looked like biker Santa Claus because he had a huge white beard, and then he was covered head to toe.
Yeah.
But just really a provider in what a man should be is what my dad was, what I'd say.
I love that. What about your relationship with your dad? Were you guys really close?
Oh, we were tight. We were super tight because, I mean, I don't know how to say it. It's not a bad thing, but when you're surrounded by primarily women, it's
probably a bad thing. It's probably crazy.
Yeah,
yes.
We just kind of had this, like, we're in it together kind of thing. Like, he was my guy, I was his guy.
That's awesome.
And, you know, he liked all the same hobbies I liked. He was a nut, and I had the best conversations of my life with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what happened to your dad?
Yeah. So pretty much my dad always had a pretty bad immune system, I'd say. I remember several times as a kid, he would have to go to the hospital for a few days, and it was always kind of a big deal. But the last time, I believe he just got pneumonia real bad, and he couldn't breathe too good. So for the first few days, like, before he got, like, sick and we had to take him to the hospital, he would do the breathing treatments and do all that, and he couldn't talk too much, and he'd cough and, like, all this stuff. And then it got bad enough to the point he also had asthma. So,
yes,
yeah.
I knew that.
So pretty much he went into the hospital. It seemed pretty good at first. Like, this wasn't like, oh, I think my dad's going to die. It was like, this has happened a million times. He'll be back in a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, it was kind of rocky because, like, for a few days he'd be, like, getting better. And it was like, oh, he might get moved to, like, the general area of the hospital where we can visit him and, this and this and this. And he had a couple days where he was doing real good. And then he contracted COVID along with the pneumonia. And it kind of just got worse and worse. And the doctor said even if he had been able to come home, he would have had to have a lung transplant. He would have been on a ventilator. He would have been in the bed. So.
Wow. And that's not like your dad. I've known your dad, so that
oh, he would have hated it. He would have hated it.
That wasn't him.
Yeah.
And that was about 4 years ago now?
Yes. I was about 16.
Okay. So since then, and again, I'm in the same, I'm doing the same journey that you guys are doing. How have you coped with it, and is there ways that you have coped that you think were beneficial?
I was pretty angry when it first happened. I was very mad. I didn't understand why, because I've had friends who were like, their dads are deadbeats, and they're not even in their lives, and they're doing just fine.
Totally.
And my dad was like, Tony Stark, Iron Man. He was the coolest guy in the room.
He was, for sure.
Yeah. Just with coping, I'd say I did go to a couple therapists, which I think a big part of that is just because you go to one therapist doesn't mean that they're the right one for you.
Love that.
I had to try out a couple people before I found the guy for me.
Yeah.
But I would just say therapy. Also, we always listen to music together, so anytime I'd get really down, I would just put on a song I knew that we used to sing together.
Yeah.
And a lot of praying, kind of not understanding why God would do it, but I wouldn't say I was angry at him. It was more so just I don't understand. I feel like I still don't understand, but I'm a little more at peace with it because I know he's having a much better time than I am right now.
Agreed. When you say angry, were you angry at God, at your dad, or just angry in general because it's a crappy thing that happened?
I was I would say I was more so confused with God, and I was never like, I hate you and you've done this to me, and I never did that. But I can remember many times where I was like, why did you let this happen? Like, tell me why. Like, send me a sign as to why this happened.
Yeah.
I was never mad at my dad. You know, it wasn't his fault. He had asthma, and he got sick all the time. That wasn't his fault at all. But I would say I was just angry a little bit at the world and angry at the situation, but not angry at God or my dad.
That's great. I love how you how you said that. Kind of staying on this topic, what is something that you miss most about your dad?
My dad was a big Christmas guy. He loved Christmas, and this is pretty stupid. It's silly, but he would take like children's Christmas songs when they're on the radio, and he'd slip bad words in there. He'd like. I'm not gonna say it, but
yes,
but
yeah.
But no, but it was just really funny because and he told me, he was like, I'm a man of God, but like I love being funny, and sometimes I struggle with that. But I miss him making me laugh because he was the dude. Like anything he said, you'd die.
I know. I've hung out with him. Yeah, he is. He was a funny guy.
He was just, almost 60 years old, and he acted like he was 14. So.
So kind of that obviously is a memory, but is there like, do you have a memory that like you kind of, for me, like there's a couple memories with Mike that I like just hold on to, and I think about them a lot. Is there anything like that with your dad that you're like, this is a memory that I have that like I'm...
I actually have like a memento, a physical thing from it. So I paint, I do like abstract art and all that. My dad was an art professor.
Big art guy, I remember.
So pretty much a couple months before he got sick, I had gotten really into painting, and he was just so supportive of it. And my best painting I've ever done, we did together. And he really made sure that I did the majority of the work, and he just helped me along with it. And that's probably one of the best nights of my life. And I still have that painting in my room.
I was just going to ask, do you still have that painting?
Yeah, I do.
Is there something that you miss about your dad that you didn't think that you would? Like, I can think of things that Mike used to do that I would annoy me at the time, and now it's like I miss that.
Yeah.
I would miss the stupid Christmas songs with bad words.
Yeah.
Like just things that you don't really think about until they're not there. So
I miss. I'm a big Marvel dude. I love
me too.
I love all of it. And when he died, I didn't think I'm not going to be able to watch these movies anymore.
Yeah.
But every time I put one on, it's like it's not good for me.
Yeah.
So that's something that I didn't think I was going to miss because I never thought it would.
A big deal.
Yeah.
You don't think it's a big deal.
Yeah, but that's a huge deal. Like anytime I watch any of the new ones that come out, I bawl my eyes out. I can't do it. And it's not that the movies are sad. It's just
I get it.
Yeah.
We were the same. We were big Marvel people, so I get it. Is there anything? And you're older now, so you're not a 16-year-old kid, but that you're worried about, that you think that kind of sits on that you feel sitting on your shoulders, that you're like, man, I'm worried about this.
Yeah. I'm worried I won't live up and be the kind of man he was. That's my big thing.
Well, I'm going to tell you, first off, you are. I knew your dad, and you have done that.
Thank you.
So let me be the first to say I know your family. I'm not family.
You are.
But 100% you have.
Thank you.
So
that means a lot.
Is there anything else that you think about or that you're worried about?
This is a small thing. I'm scared that like my art won't be able to progress really well because he like if I did something wrong, he'd be like, next time don't do that. Next time, and it's just. It's harder than it was whenever it was just I had Picasso in my corner telling me everything I need to do.
Sure,
and now it's like it's how I feel connected to him in a similar way. I put on the songs we used to listen to and I'll paint something and I'll think about him. But I'm scared that like I won't get to his level. I'm just, in every way, I'm scared I won't get to his level pretty much.
You won't become who he was.
Yes.
And I never really thought of that, but I get that with a boy losing a dad over a girl losing a dad. That when my dad died, people would say to me, "Your dad was a great man. Your dad was a great man," and I always thought, how am I going to live up to that? Like, how am I going to, the legacy that he left, how am I going to live up to that legacy? So that I totally, I can totally relate to.
Yeah.
At this age and at 16, is there any advice that you would have or you would give to someone that's either, maybe in the process of losing a parent, maybe has lost a parent, but it's at that young age? Is there any advice that you would give or tips that you would say? Again, and I'm sorry, it's a shitty situation. Yeah. It sucks.
It does, yeah.
There's a lot of things, but is there something because that's the perspective that Ken and I don't have because we're older.
Yeah.
And we were the partner. And when our dads died, they were a little bit older. And, so what is there anything that helps? Is there anything that you think would be helpful to someone else?
Yeah, I think, and it's going to sound very cliche, but it's the truest thing there is. You got to get right with God, and you got to pray, and you just got to try to keep them alive in you. You know what I mean? Just think about them, and if you do have to go to therapy and talk to someone, there's nothing wrong with that.
Agreed.
There's not after he died, I kind of spiraled a little. I wasn't the nicest to some of my friends. I was dating a girl at the time. I wasn't the best boyfriend because I was losing it.
Going through it.
Yeah. But I would say you've gone through literally the worst thing that could probably happen to you. You've gone through the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. And it's just, the first year, you have the right to be crazy. The first year, that is your right. The worst thing that could happen has happened to you.
Yeah.
And if you can't have people expecting you to be perfect, prim, and proper when your hero, your mom, your dad, whoever it is, whenever they're gone, you have the right to be a little batshit for a while.
Yep.
So don't feel like you're you're failing and you're just handling the grief wrong, because there's no right way to deal with grief. You just have to go through it. That's what I would say.
Dang, that hit me.
Yeah.
That you basically just were preaching to me. Wow, that was good. So, so advice that you would have for kids at 16, you can go through. I always say to get through it, you got to go through it, which sucks. But you have a right to feel and do you kind of have a free pass for that year.
Yeah, yeah.
Now at this age, at 20, because that for a man, I would think that's a difference. What about now at this age? Do you look back and say, oh, I wish I would have known this, or, I know that I'm really hard on myself, and I am holding myself to this level of perfection, and the people around me, which I know is dumb because I can't live up to that. But at 4 years past, have you looked back and thought, gosh, I wish I would have remembered that. I wish I would have done that. Or, wow, that was really helpful. I should have done that more.
It's not going to sound very healthy.
Okay.
This is not going to sound healthy.
We are transparent.
Cool.
We're not about.
We used to live at an apartment complex, and I have a truck. So I'd get in my truck, I'd cut music up really loud, and I would just scream for 10, 15 minutes. Yeah. And it sounds counterproductive and
I think it does not sound counterproductive at all.
Yeah, but that's something I wish, because I kind of picked that up a little bit later because I was so bitter about it. But it's good to get your anger out, not on other people. You don't need to start fights or do anything like that. But when you're alone, I saw this great show. It's called, I don't know if I can say what it's called, but
you can.
Okay, it's called. I think it's called Shrink. Okay. It's about a therapist and stuff.
I've seen that. Yeah.
And they gave me some great advice because I watched that a little bit after my dad died. Yeah. If you're feeling so down and so bad, just take 15 minutes a day just to be sad, just to let it all happen, just to feel everything, whether it's anger, whether it's sadness or depression. Just for those 15 minutes, you just feel it. You just do it. and then it's kind of like a release. And then,
Yeah.
So I wish I had done that more, and I'd learned about that a little bit quicker.
That's a great tip, because I think that, especially for me, for us, we're so busy doing, and even as I'm sure at 16 and at 20, a lot of times I feel like I have to be busy doing, because if I take that pause, I might lose it, and I'm worried that I won't be able to like get it back and get it back under control. But a therapist told me that too, that you need to take 15 minutes a night where you and the girls talk about dad and maybe reminisce and journal or whatever. And then after 15 minutes, we dry our tears and we move on.
Yeah.
So I do think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
So what is one thing or multiple things? I'm sure you've done multiple.
Yeah.
But what is something that you've done that you've thought, man, my dad would be proud.
Yeah.
Or my dad would think this is
Well,
awesome.
I mean, my dad died when I was 16, so like I didn't have I was late to get my license.
Yep.
I didn't have a job.
Yep.
You know, I didn't have a ton of friends because we just moved down here.
And you were 16.
And I was yeah. So I often thought whenever I first got a job, like, man, Dad would think this was so cool that I was doing this, you know? And like I'm in the market for a new car, and like I know that he would be very like ecstatic that I was, because he loves cars. I'm sure my mom said.
Yes, Mike and him would talk. I know the research and the talking, and I would be like, I don't care.
Yeah, no, but honestly, I just think regular like young adult things is what he'd be proud of me for. Because I was a child when he died, so you know.
So you've got a job, you've got a car.
Yeah.
And you're painting.
Yeah.
And I think you're a lot like your dad. Even looking at you, it reminds me of talking to him. But I think it's, those little things that you do that you're like, man, my dad would be proud. Like, I even still do stuff and think, man, my dad would be proud of that. My dad would be proud that I'm doing this. He probably wouldn't love all the content, but he would be proud that I'm like stepping out and doing this.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so I feel like we're really open and I appreciate it. So one last thing. Is there any last thing that you can tell us about your dad that maybe we didn't know, or that is something that you aspire to be or hold on to, or anything else about your dad? Because he's not here, so you and your sisters are a reflection of him, and I'm sure your mom tells you this. I see him in you so much, and I was with the girls the other night, and I said to her, man, that was John Bird. Like I said it to my daughter when we left. So is there anything that you think of that, anything else that you would like to say about your dad or about your relationship? Or
well, I do have kind of a cool story.
Yes.
If you don't mind if I share it real
Love
quick.
it, for sure.
So this is actually recent. This happened to me about 2-3 days ago. I was dreaming, and I had a very horrible nightmare that a demon monster woman was chasing me through the woods. And she gets me up by the throat, and I'm like hitting her, and she's cussing at me, and she's just going off. And I'm freaking out. And like when you're in a dream, you're like, I'm going to die. And then you wake up.
And your heart's pounding, and
I fall asleep to music whenever I go to bed. And the song that was playing when I woke up was Beautiful Boy by John Lennon. And the first words was, have no fear, the monster's gone, he's on the run, and your daddy's here.
Yeah, so I love that.
And you can't tell me that's a coincidence.
No.
I know my dad came to see me that night, and he was there. He was there to reassure me.
I got you.
That,
and he loves you.
Yep.
All right, last question. I mean, how can you at this stage, and what advice do you have for anyone else, whether it be grief, what can you give someone to, what can you pass on? It could be advice that your dad told you. It could be something that you think young people should know, because unfortunately we live in a world where, kids are losing their dads
They are.
at 16 and 13 and 8 and 28. And, you know, at 45, you know, I wish there were things that I could go back and do, but I would give old Amanda better advice.
Yeah.
So is there anything you would give young Oliver or young kids that have to go through this?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the times, at least I'm sure a lot of girls do feel this way too, but with young men, you feel you have to be just like your dad. You have to think how he thinks. You have to do what he did. And you got to realize you're your own person. You're growing up. You're going through this awkward stage of you're either becoming a teenager or you're becoming a young adult, and there's all this stuff happening. It's okay if you're a little bit different from your parent. That doesn't mean that you're disrespecting them. If you have a different opinion than they did or anything, it's okay to be you.
Yeah, that's great advice, because we live in a world where right now you can be anything. But I think I think it's such a different, I think it's got to be so different for a boy.
Yeah.
Like I just do, because now you almost have to step into that role of protecting my mom and leader of the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Have you felt like that? Do you feel like you have to step into that role, or are you okay?
Well,
you're still a kid,
yeah.
and I want you, I know we want you guys to stay kids, but...
I'm just gonna tell you, my mom's a boss. She takes care of business.
Bro, I know your mama. I get it.
Yeah.
She is.
So no,
She bosses up real quick.
I have had to do some growing up, but at the same time, my mom has done the very best she can to make sure I didn't have to be a man till it was the right age.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Anything else that you would like to add to this conversation for your? I mean, a lot of this is I'm talking to myself. So a couple of things you said, I was just like, you were, dang, that hit me.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that you think that again, we're doing this from a kid's perspective, and I know you're a man. But is there anything else that you would like to say about your dad, or about the situation, or about...
I would just say, we live in such an age now where everyone's on their phone 24/7, or you're on the game, or you're doing this or this. You only get one family, and you only get them for a certain amount of time, so you really do not need to take them for granted. You got to be with them as much as you can. You got to make as many memories as you can, and you got to tell them you love them as much as you can.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Oliver, thank you for being
Thank
open
you for having
and
me.
honest. I love it, and I know your mom is really proud of you. I'm really proud of you for doing this, so it was awesome.
Thank you so much for even inviting me.
Hey, I'm Kendra. I'm with Widowhood Podcast. Amanda and I started this a little while back to share our journey. And one of the questions that we got repeatedly was, how are your kids? I have 4. Amanda's got 2. And everybody wants to know, how are your kids doing? And I think our kids are doing great, but we wanted to get their perspective on it. So I'm excited because I've got the opportunity to talk to Morgan. And Morgan and I have been friends for 5 years. And I got to start working with her last year. And I love working with her. She's hilarious. And she's beautiful. And I know that God brought our families together because she's become my family. So I wanted to at least tell you a little bit about her, that I think she's fantastic. And so even though I've said who you are, can you tell us who you are?
Yes. Hi, I'm Morgan Harris, Mike's daughter.
Mike and Amanda.
Yes, Mike and Amanda's daughter.
Tell me a little bit about what it was like to have Mike as a dad.
So my mom and Mike started dating when I was like 3 or 4, and that's when he like entered the picture a little bit. Like he was here and there, and then when I was 11, he fully adopted me.
Okay.
And that's when he became that full role of like the fun guy, the great dad, like painting my nails at 11, let me put makeup on him, and just having a good old time.
Do you remember, I'm curious to know, what was your first thought of him? Because he's a big dude. He was a big dude.
So what's funny is when I first met Mike, he had no tattoos, no mohawk. he was just this big guy.
Yeah.
And then my mom and him like morphed into the mohawks, the tattoos, the muscle heads.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
That's kind of how
Like, he was,
John was too, because when we got
Yeah.
married, he had tattoos, but they weren't anywhere somebody could see them.
Yes.
And so, like, the older we got, we became like a whole different looking family than we were in the
like,
beginning.
It's like Mike's mom was like Catholic, so like it's like tattoos, it's ears piercing, it's anything was like off limits.
Right.
So he had like nothing. So he looks
Yeah.
totally different. It's like
Yeah.
when I met him,
He
it's now who he is then.
when you first would see Mike, he could look intimidating.
Oh yeah.
But then whenever he opened his mouth, it's
He's a
like
big teddy bear.
he's the coolest, most caring, nicest
Uh-huh.
guy ever. Like, looked after people, and so I can only imagine what it would have been like, because he, to me, like, you noticed him in a room, and he
Oh, yeah.
was absolutely like the one that made people feel included.
Oh, always.
Didn't he
that
make
was
people
his
feel-
main thing?
Yeah,
Like,
he
if,
wanted
if
everybody
you
to
were
be
not
part.
talking to anybody or part of the group, he would drag you in. And
I
be
think he
like,
made
"How
people
are
feel
you?"
important.
Yes.
And John was that way too. I think that's why they became such good friends so
Yes.
fast, is because they recognized that at in each other. And I don't know if it's from upbringing or the way that they were raised, but I think they wanted people to feel
Yeah.
important and like they belonged.
Yes, and they always wanted Mike always wanted everyone to be part of that conversation.
Yeah.
It's like if he was at a work
Yeah.
meeting, someone was left out, or like
Yeah.
not a part of it. He'd be like, no, we have to have them there. Like, they're part of this team. They have to be here.
Yeah, that's
And it
cool.
was just great.
So, can you tell me, in your words, however you want to tell me, what happened with your dad?
So he had foot surgery, like on a Thursday. That the doctor, he said it was routine, it was normal, everything was fine. Saturday, my mom and I get up, we get ready, we go run some errands, like a normal Saturday, like nothing too crazy. We come back. We're about to start dinner. As we came back from the grocery, I was putting stuff away. I hear him snoring a lot louder than normal. Like, I know his normal snore.
He's a snorer.
Yes, and it was annoying.
Yeah.
But I yelled at her, and I'm like, "Hey, let's go check on Mike. Like, his snoring is really loud. When she gets to that step, she screams, call 911. Like, she knew immediately. I call them. As I'm on the phone with them, as we rush upstairs, it's like to see his face and like know like something is not right. It's the lady tells us it's like you got to take him. It's off the bed and put him on the ground. And I'm like,
How are you going to do that?
How are
Because
we
you
gonna
and
do
your
this,
mom
Mom?
are very,
we're this
you're strong,
little.
but you're very petite.
So it was
you
like
guys
all
did that
the
together.
strength that we had together was just it's grab him down and we're giving him CPR, and as soon as we hear the ambulances, we hear all the noise, it's from outside, I run downstairs, I unlock the door, I let them in. It literally was it was like chaos. I mean,
Yeah.
as many people coming, it's in and out.
Yeah.
I sat on the steps just to hear or know if I could hear anything because my mom was downstairs.
Right.
And they were like, it's watching her. And I was like, I need to know. Like, I could hear coughing, but I didn't know if that was a good thing, a normal, or what it was. And I would tell her.
Right.
And they wouldn't tell us anything. Like,
Yeah.
they all stayed upstairs. It'd be like 3 go out, 6 come back in, 4 go out, 10 come in.
You know, your mom and I have both been in traditional healthcare for almost 30 years. So, and we talked about how surreal and odd it is to be on the other side of watching your family member
Yeah.
when you're the one that's usually providing the care.
Yeah.
Did you don't have like that kind of medical background, so did you know how to do CPR?
We did, yeah. I knew because it's taught me. It's in it's like when Hudson was around. It's like I had to learn how to do on babies and
Right.
little kids, and then
Awesome.
it's like my old jobs. It's when I did daycare. I had to know. And then she's like, here's how you do it the right way.
Yeah.
And then she would take turns and I would take a turn, or she would do a turn and then I would.
Yeah.
And then it was a few hours after that. It's like they give us the news, and we're just like, what the what? It's like, how is this it's possible?
Yeah.
He was fine
Yeah.
6 hours ago. What?
Yeah, you guys had a different situation than we did because John was sick for 40
Yeah.
days. And your mom and I have talked about how different it is when I think I texted your mom that day and she said, Mike's in the shower, we're making dinner. So that's a big difference to go from somebody being in the shower and y'all are fixing to have dinner to your life has
talking
completely.
in the shower. He was fine.
Until
and then
your
as
life
soon
is
as he it's laid down, it's from the shower to the bed. It was like a snap of a finger. It was done.
Yeah.
And it was like, and then a few days later, we have to go and identify the body. And I said, I want to see him one last time because the way I saw him watching it's EMS or the whatever, basically take my dad downstairs in like a tarp was not okay for me to see.
Right.
I always
That's not a good last.
It's like I always seen in like it's movies and other things. It's you have the gurney. So to watch that, I was like, that's really disgusting.
Yeah.
Like I mean, to watch your dad, this great big man.
Yeah.
This is what you think he is. It's just
That's
in a
used
tarp.
to looking after everybody else
Yes.
and helping everybody else fix everything because your dad helped everybody fix everything.
Everything. It's like you could call him for anything. He'd be like, I'm on my way. And then when I had to go and identify the body, that's what I was like, I have to see him this one last time. It's my family was here. It's by then. And they were so against it. Like, they're like, that's disgusting. How dare you want to go see him? Like, what is wrong with you? And I'm like, I have to see my dad. I want to talk to him one last time. Like, it's like, I know for sure that his soul's not here.
Yeah.
But he can still hear me. I know it's the body, but I
He hears
need
you.
this closure. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
it's like I want him to know, like, I have my mom, I have my sister. I am gonna try to have a relationship. It's with my brother. It's who lives in Ohio. Like, it's even if he doesn't want one with me, I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
And then after I got that, I
You're
got to
okay.
see him that one
That's
time.
what you needed.
And I told her, I was like, it's like he looks at peace. He looks happy. He looks good. Like, I mean, he looks like he's just asleep.
Yeah.
And it might be, like, it's crazy, but I had to do that. It's for my own peace in mind.
Right.
Just so he knows, I got them. Like, I know you're not here, and I will step up
Yeah.
to help them.
I think that's one thing that is really important that needs to be shared with everybody is every person does not handle this the same way.
Yeah.
I think it's great that you wanted to talk to him one last time. I did that with my dad. Granted, I was in my late 40s when my dad passed, but whenever we had the opportunity to be in the funeral home, everybody had left, and I said, I'm going back one more time.
Yeah.
And I went back just by myself, and my dad and I were very close, and he looked at peace, and I said, okay, Dad, I got it.
Yeah.
I'll do my best. I've got it. And so some people, like my children didn't see their dad because it was during COVID. And I know that's a big question that we've gotten through the podcast is what do you do with kids? You know, you and my oldest daughter, Lily, you're adult kids, and Oliver. And so that's a different decision for you guys versus a young kid. And I think people have to handle that on a case-to-case basis.
Like, it's when it's my grandpa passed, we had to go to Ohio. It's my mom's friend that was doing the funeral stuff. And she's like, it's your dad's here. Do you want to see him? And I said, I want to go because I didn't get to see him. It's before.
Right.
Because it was like a blink of an eye, too. Like, we got the phone call. He was doing terrible. She was on her way to Ohio. It's when it happened. It's when he passed. And so we got to see him. This same thing. And everyone, it's up in Ohio, too, was like, that's terrible. Like, you're going to be traumatized. You're going to be this. And I'm like, but when I saw him, that brought back all the memories of him.
You were good.
It's all the good times. It's like same thing with my dad. It brought all those great times and memories. And I'm like, that's how I picture it. That's how I see him. It's not what you see. It's what I see.
Yeah. So we've talked about, you know, you guys are right at 6 months, and you go anywhere from angry to depressed to sad within a matter of minutes. And one of the questions that people ask us is, how do you cope with that? And your mom and I have talked about things that we've done, healthy and not healthy, that have helped us to date get through. Is there anything for you that has worked so far?
So I don't cope. I've never learned how to cope properly. I bottle everything in until I explode. So And a few weeks ago, I had a major seizure.
Right.
But I knew my dad was there because it's when you have a seizure, it's like you're paralyzed. It's from the whole way. Somehow I screamed mom. So that's...
And people don't talk when they're having a seizure.
Yeah, like you just can't. Like it's like everything is paralyzed. Your vocal cords. It's like you can't talk, you can't move. And so I knew that he was there that night to make sure I screamed mom to have her come down. And how I was laying was like, my bed is here, it's in the dressers here. I was laying on this side, completely straight. It's where I couldn't hurt myself. And nothing happened. I have no marks or anything on me.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And that was him saying, yes, I'm not here. I still got you.
But I'm still here.
But stop doing those things.
Yeah, I'm still here. And I think that's interesting. We were joking earlier in the podcast because Amanda talked with Oliver. And you and I have a very more similar personalities, just like Amanda and Oliver do. They're going to talk to the wall if nobody's going to talk to them. But you and I are more private.
Yes.
And it's hard to talk about things that you feel like are your business, you know. And, you know, I'm almost 4 years out, and it's taken me this long to sort of tell the story. Because to me, it happened to me. It's my business.
Yeah.
But I'm so proud of you guys for only being this far out and wanting to share with people, because I know your mom and Oliver could sit here all afternoon and talk.
Oh, yeah, they would.
But you and I, it makes the heart beat faster.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes your heart beat faster. So I appreciate you doing this. But I'm going to ask you a couple more questions.
Okay.
What's your favorite memory of your dad?
So we were on our vacation. It's coming home. It's Myrtle Beach. Before we moved here, I think I was like 16 at the time. And he got this spam phone call. And you would think that he won a brand new car, he was so happy, screaming like, oh my God, what, really? Oh my gosh. Like, and it was, as soon as he hangs up, we're like, what was it? He's like, just someone like offering me like $6,000, but it's a scam. And I'm like, the way you acted was wild.
Yeah.
And we like joked about that all the time, like that, because he was just like,
He was just
his
playing you
goofball
guys.
self.
Yeah, he was being goofy. What do you think, right offhand, because I'm sure there's tons of things, but what do you miss most right now?
So I miss, it's like having that person to text or call, or when something breaks.
Yeah.
Like I just know, I'll call my dad, he'll text.
Yeah.
It's like he'll have the fix, or he'll like know the answer, or it's like it's what used to tape, it's up the light switches. That'd be the important ones. And I'm like,
I don't know which light switch to use.
And my mom would get so mad.
Yeah.
And he would be like, if that's like that, don't touch it, don't mess with it. And I'm just like, the stupid light switches, really? The dumb light switch? I'm like, fine. It's like my dad was not a cat person. I have two.
We're cat people.
Yeah, it's
All of us are
every
cat people.
time I would come home from work, one would be sitting on his lap. It's while he's on a conference call or typing on the computer. And I'm like, I thought you hated cats. And he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, they clearly love you.
Yeah.
And like my cat now will sit by his box all the time just because she misses him.
Yeah.
It's like she knows, and like she'll meow around the house and just be like, oh, well, it's what, he's here. Like he's still walking around, he's still doing his thing.
Yeah.
And I always know, oh, well, he's still here.
Yeah. They are. And I think that's one thing that brings me comfort is knowing that your dad and my John were good buddies. And I feel like they're having the time of their life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it's not right. They're having a great time without us. But I see little things all the time that John's still around.
Yep.
And Mike is still around, and they're still looking out for us. Is there anything, because of the way your life has changed, is there anything that you're worried about for the future without Mike being here?
Like my mom, like that was her, it's go-to. Like
Yeah.
they'd bounce ideas off each other. Like he would always know what to do or how to fix this or how to do this or no, I don't like that idea. Like try it
Yeah.
this way or
Yeah.
it's like things now. Like we just moved into a new house. Like he would know what to do. Like it's plan A, B, C. I mean, it's answers
Right.
to Z.
Right.
I mean, it's her now trying to do it. It's on her own. I know it's a lot. Mm-hmm. And I can be there, but I didn't have his kind of smarts or his kind of thought to be
Yeah.
like, no, this is what we should do.
Yeah.
Not this.
So that's what you're worried about for your mom, but are you worried about things for you?
I mean, a little bit.
What concerns you for you?
Like, I hope that I can not fill his shoes, but kind of do the stuff that he could do. Like, it's like figure out things like he could, or help with certain things that he used to do,
Right.
or be that person that like he would want me to be.
Yeah. There, we were lucky because your dad and John were really big people to live up to.
Yeah.
And it's, I know some people don't have the benefit of that, and but like you said, you called your dad or you text your dad.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest, Lily, all my kids paint and draw because their dad was an art professor. And Lily texted me the other day, and she said, I was standing in the art supply store, and I didn't know what paintbrush I needed for this particular project. She said, and I thought, I'll just call Dad.
Yeah.
And she said, I was standing in the aisle crying because I can't ask him, And they were just really cool people that knew everything about everything.
Yep.
Cars,
Yes.
house, how to fix everything. And they were good people in that their morals were so high
Yes.
that if I ever didn't know what I should do ethically, they were the first people I was going to ask.
Yep.
Because I knew if whatever their answer was, that's what you do.
Yep.
So that's a big change for sure. What advice, if you could have any right now, I know it's early, what advice do you think you would give people your age? Because like I said, your mom and I were in our 40s when our dads passed. What's different, or what advice could you give somebody your age?
So I would tell them to journal. It's every day. Like, journal those memories that you have, but
I love
in
that.
your perspective.
Uh-huh.
So say you guys got in a fight, which all parents do. It's
Right.
with their kids. Journal them, and then save those memories. It's for yourself. Find all the pictures, print them out. If you have like old videos or voicemails, stick them on a CD, a flash drive, like a little disc, just so you always have their voice. Like, as soon as my dad passed, we went through and I found a bunch of pictures. I printed them all out just to have, it's like the hard copy, because the phone can only save them for so long.
Right.
And then once the phone's done,
That's a great idea.
it's gone.
Yeah.
And then the journaling, I think I did that for a while, and then it just brought back, and I just it's opened it the other day, and I started cracking up at like this.
Yeah.
It's like goofball things he would do, and I'm like,
So did you just start journaling on your own, or did you have like a therapist that suggests that?
I tried therapy once, and it just like didn't click with me. Like, I still bottle it up.
Yeah.
And my mom bought these journals because she heard it's from her therapist, and was
Okay.
like, why don't you each three like just journal, draw, just do what you feel. And I was
Yeah.
like, I'm gonna think of its memories, or the old stuff we used to do, just so, because it's the older we get, it's our memories go. So I'm like, at least I have them written down. I can always have this book, and I can always go back. Like, when I miss them, it's I either play a Guns N' Roses song, because I just hear him screaming it. It's in the back of my head, just singing away, like acting like it's Axl Rose, like in his own little tune.
Yeah.
Or just.
I like that you did that. I like that because I never journaled before, and my therapist suggested that to, journal down what you're thinking. And I think it's especially important for people like you and me that don't tell people our business.
Yeah.
Because I might be having all these kind of thoughts during the day, but I don't share them with people. And that's part of being a more private person. And so I found that journaling was huge for me. And I've written down the days that are hard, or the days that I felt like I really did good today.
Yep.
John would have been proud of me today. So I think it's good that you have that. But I love your idea about the pictures because, we all have phones now, and I've got tons of videos and pictures of John on our phone. But I like that you went ahead and printed those out. What's one thing that you think your dad would be proud of you for?
I think that I learned how to grill on my own.
You learned how to grill?
Which was a huge thing of his.
Yeah.
Like, anytime I asked him to teach me, he was like, no, I got this. And I'm like, but what if I move out? Or what if I, have my own place? No, I'll come over and grill. I'm like, no, you're not going to come over to my house and grill. Like, I can do it. And he would never teach me, so I learned on my own. I've become, it's more like him, like trying to fix stuff or just figure out a plan. So if something's leaking, I'll Google it and just try to do things that he would do.
Yeah.
Since he's not here.
Yeah. Well, I knew your dad well, and I can tell you that he adored the ground that you walked on in Hudson too. He talked about you guys all the time. But I can tell you he would be proud of you for the way that you, a lot of people say your mama's the tough one.
Yeah.
But you're tough because you are doing all the things to help and to help her, to help Hudson. And I think he would be just amazed by you that you're making it, you know. Is there any other story about your dad? I know we talked about his music.
His music choices were fun.
Yeah,
And
we went on a boat one day, and he did play a lot of Guns N' Roses. But is there anything else about him that you want people to know about that maybe didn't know him?
He was just a fun-loving guy. Like, I mean, he loved to help people. Like, if you had a problem and called him, he would be ecstatic. Like, I remember it's up in Ohio, like, everyone would say, it's your dad would come over and fix my AC and never charge me.
Yeah.
We're huge Twilight fans in our house. Huge Twilight fans. He would work at all the movie theaters, and they would always want to tip him or give him, like, so what he would do is he would always say, it's before you throw away the Twilight movie poster, save it for me.
Oh,
it's any Twilight merchandise you have, save me one or two for my daughter. Just, like, save it for me.
That's very
So, like, it's
cool.
for every birthday or Christmas, it'd be, like, it's like the official Twilight Cinemark movie poster. Is we have them all, it's laminated because that was, like, it's his thing because he knew that we loved it, and that was, like, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he would never charge anybody. It's any type of work. Like, he just loved to work. And he was, like, just hard worker.
He was. I know when John had passed away and I needed a new hot water heater. And I had gotten this ridiculous quote from somebody. And I mentioned it in front of your dad. He said,
he probably lost his mind.
He said, do not do that. He said, I'll get the hot water heater. I'll put it in. It'll be half of that, you know. And he's just a good person. And he loved you guys. I mean, he got you those Twilight posters, but he was a big present giver, too. He liked giving you guys bags.
Like, we're still finding bags. Like in his closet, like, I guess, bought this custom blue, it's Michael Kors purse. It's for my birthday. Before he passed, it's when we were cleaning out the closet, like, going through stuff. And my mom finds it, and it's like, get up here right now. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, look what he got you. And I'm like, she took it to Dillard's, and they're like, yeah, this is a custom bag. It's only limited edition color. And I'm like, what is happening? But even, like, it's a month before. Yeah. It's like a month after it's his passing. I get a knock at the door, and there was a Michael Kors bag. It said, love you forever. You're my favorite.
Aww.
And I literally was like, did you buy me a purse? Like, what? But it's crazy that it came a month that's after his death. Like, he's like, hey, I'm still here. I'm still around. Here. And I'm like, it was just shocking. I was like,
too cool. I love that. I think John was I'm not a good present giver, and John was like that with the kids. He would do stuff like that and buy things. I was always like, man, he always outdoes me when it comes to occasions like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else that you want to add or that you want to say, or any other words of wisdom?
I mean, it's with grief, it is hard, but you're allowed to take as much time as you need. Let those emotions sit in you and just develop. Don't rush grief. Don't be put in a box of being like, it's my family up in Ohio said, I'm stuck in the angry phase. Well, I'm allowed to. I watched my dad, like, take his last breath in front of my eyes.
Yeah.
And I did, and I'm allowed to be mad for 6 months, a year if I need to.
Yeah, those phases don't seem to have an expiration date.
Exactly. And I'm like, it's if I want to stay angry, I'm going to stay angry. Like, it's my friend. It's in Ohio, lost her mom. It's our, like, freshman year. And I wish that I was a better friend to her then, but I never knew what she was going through until that night when I texted her, and she was like, one, drink water, wash your face, just brush your teeth. It's eat a few crackers. That's all you have to do.
Uh-huh.
Let your emotions come
Yeah.
as they come. Do not push them. Do not rush them. Don't let them settle. You are allowed to feel like this.
Yeah.
This will be the
I think that's
hardest
huge to get
time.
permission for that.
It's like this is the hardest thing you will go through, and let it happen. It's going to take time to heal.
Yeah.
You will never forget. And what's great about the journaling is now I never will forget
Yeah.
because I have them written down. I have the pictures.
Yeah.
I mean, it's his friends. It's from Texas and Colorado. Like send me pictures of my dad and seeing him in like the sweaters and glasses. I'm like, he was such a nerd. I'm like, what is wrong? I'm like,
You got proof now.
I do. I'm like, it's acting like you were this big, cool muscle head, and
he
look at you
was.
in the glasses looking like a nerd, like sitting on a bench. I'm like,
I know.
this is insane. But I'm
That's
like,
hilarious.
that was you.
That's too cool.
But I mean, let your emotions, just let them out. If it takes 6 years, you're allowed to. This is traumatic. This is a lot to deal with. You're allowed to. Don't let
right.
anyone else put you or make you feel bad that you're still grieving because you lost someone. I'm at almost 6 months, and I'm still mad. Not at God, I get it, but I'm still mad that he's not here. It's problems in my life that he's not here to help me fix or tell me what to do, or it's how do I go through this. I mean, I'm sad every day that I can't text him and be like, hey, it's how was your day? Or
yeah.
it's
What
like
are we eating for dinner?
Exactly. It's like we went to a medium, and it's like the first one. It's a blue jay it's on the porch, and that was him just saying, "What are you doing? I'm still watching. I'm still here." And she said, "Look for signs. That's how you'll know." And any day I have a bad day, a dang Guns N' Roses song plays, and it's always the same four that he would listen to, and I'm like, "All right, what is this? What are you trying to teach me, or what are you trying to say? This is okay to feel like this. I'm okay to be mad still. I'm okay that you got me. You're still here with me."
I think
And
it's
that's
all
just
those
it.
things.
Yeah, and he just,
it's all those.
it's like he's still here. Like even though he's gone, it's physically, he's still here.
Yeah.
And I love, it's like to know that he's looking out for me.
Yeah. I love that too. I want to tell you thank you.
Thank you.
Because this isn't easy, and it's
not.
especially for us because
Yes.
we don't like to talk about stuff. But I really appreciate it, and I look forward to still working with you and
Yes.
still growing together through this because we still have some work to do. But thank you guys so much for watching.
Thank you.